I'm sitting in my apartment. I'm just sitting here with the behind the start screen. Look at I make it go away. It comes back. Hello. Live from a studio apartment, this is Misinformation. Come on in and do some jokes. Shit. Well, New York City had its safest January on record, with murders down 60% and shootings down 20%. Yeah. Yeah, apparently that's because all the murderers froze to death. Yeah. That's due to Mamdani's policies right there. You know, some good, some bad. You gotta weigh them against each other. Well, today is George Washington's birthday. Yeah. The day we celebrate a dead president. Or as Democrats call it, the 2020 election. He was the first president the first dead president to serve a 4-year term. Yeah, prehumously. Well, AOC today claimed that Venezuela was below the equator. Yeah, little gaffe. Yeah, to be fair, Democrats are still confused about anything below the belt. Yeah, she said Venezuela identifies as southern equator, so southern hemisphere. I don't know. Well, those were the jokes. It's about the best I could do with today's news. It's been kind of slow. It's been a fun couple of weeks. It took a few weeks off, so just kind of coming back into things right now. And I picked a good couple of weeks to take off because there was like no news. It was just like super slow. And then I returned today and there's still no news. Nothing exciting at least, but we'll pull it up. We'll go through the stuff. Some stuff to discuss today. Let's get the Twitter up. Okay, can we see that good? Perfect. Let's make it a little bit bigger. All right, I think that's going to be good. We might need to resize it, though. Okay, well, there was a study. This was an interesting one. Alex Berenson was tweeting about this earlier today. I guess there was a study about caffeine and dementia. So he's saying, don't want to get dementia? It looks like your best bet, besides exercise, is drinking lots of coffee. He points out a study, I guess there was a well-run study, shows a 25+% decrease in dementia risk in heavy coffee drinkers over decades. He says the raw numbers are even more stunning. Coffee drinkers had 70% fewer diagnoses. And he's got some, it's a little link to the study here. Which I would like to believe because I drink a ton of coffee all the time. This is my evening coffee. I drink probably like 8 or 9 shots of espresso throughout the day. So I should have zero dementia. I should be the sharpest elderly person ever, right? But here's my question for this, which I asked to Alex Berenson, and I didn't get a response. I don't think anybody wants to smoke whenever I reply on Twitter or X, because it's easy to like quote tweet and punk idiots. So when people reply with stupid stuff, they always get a response. My shit never gets a response. I think they just ignore it. But anyways, my main point was this, okay? It's kind of like causation does not equal correlation, right? So is it possible that yes, maybe the people that just drink more coffee, that coffee has an effect on their mental acuity, it staves off dementia, right? But what else would you think or would you assume about people who drink a lots of coffee, right? Well, if you're drinking coffee, it's probably because you want to get some stuff done, right? In other words, the people that drink a lot of coffee are probably the people who constantly feel like they need another burst of energy and more fuel because they want to focus and get a bunch of work done, right? So is it possible that we've confused the causation and the correlation here, and actually it's just that the people with less dementia are just the people that are doing more stuff, right? Maybe they're also the people that drink more coffee. It's just the people that are staying active, setting goals well into their 60s and 70s, continuing to kind of hammer away at life and do things, and maybe that keeps them a little bit sharper and staves off dementia. So that would be my only criticism of the study is I feel like just keeping your mind active is probably the most important thing that you could do to stave off dementia. And to me, it just seems like coffee might be a side effect of that. But interesting study, and like I said, I would like to believe it because I drink a ton of coffee already. So why not? Why not imagine I have some health benefits? Some additional ones. Okay, this was, again, it is a super slow news day. I don't know what's going on in the news. It's basically like the Nancy Guthrie thing has been dominating the news cycles the last 2 weeks. I've been on break, but I've kind of been keeping an eye on it. But that's all I see, which, by the way, that's a weird case. What the hell is happening with that? I mean, there's been twice already that the Pima County sheriffs have broken this news that they've found some suspects are going into homes and pulling people out on warrants, and everyone online's always oh my god, they finally got them, right? And then 6 hours later they're yeah, we were just checking a tip. It's are you really allowed to just go get a warrant on a tip? Just any tip? You can walk into anyone's house and search it just on an anonymous tip? That's freaking crazy. Now they're saying TMZ was reporting today that they got a, I don't think I have the tweet here. Maybe I could pull it up. This is TMZ. Another weird part of the case is that TMZ is oddly involved. They're the brokers between the terrorists and the people here. So TMZ is saying that they're being contacted by somebody maybe south of the border, suggesting that they know where Nancy Guthrie is and that it was, I don't know if they're saying it was the cartel, but they're saying she was essentially brought amongst other people through the southern border. Which, I mean, okay, I could be willing to consider that, but there's a couple of things. Number one, okay, why would you... It just seems to me if the cartel were involved, if someone were involved south of the border... The weird thing about it is it looks like a ransom, right? You see the guy in the ski mask at the door. He's not burglarizing the home. He's not taking anything. He's literally taking her. Then we had these kind of supposed ransom notes that were happening for a while with a Bitcoin address, but they refused to ever send any proof of life. So if it were a ransom, especially if it were the cartel or some organized crime ring, you would expect them to have their shit together a little bit more. Wouldn't you? I mean, if the goal is to get a ton of Bitcoin from her rich and famous daughter, then they should be able to execute that, right? And when you look at the ring footage, I mean, the guy outside the door is sort of clumsy looking. He's sort of moping around. He doesn't realize there's a camera, and he apparently sees it. He grabs a piece of foliage and tries to hold it in front of the camera. That doesn't seem like a super organized crime job, just to me. And the other possibility is that maybe it was some sort of an organized crime thing, and she was brought below the border, but she died, right? So if the hostage dies along the way, then that would explain why there was no proof of life offered. Maybe the plan sort of fell apart, in other words. But it's just an odd story. This is where we're at currently, is TMZ's reaching out to the person saying, apparently the person is saying in this note, of course, we don't know if any of these notes that are being sent to TMZ about Bitcoin accounts or hostages or any of the tips or anything, we don't know if any of them are real. Right? It could just always be somebody hoaxing them or reaching out to try to get Bitcoin. But they're saying they know who it is. They're scared to go to the FBI because apparently, allegedly, they already have a criminal history from a long time ago, so they don't want to come forward. So it sounds sort of like BS, but we'll see. It's just an odd story. This was from earlier today. We got AOC. I guess she was at some type of a conference. And
it is not a it is not a remark on who Maduro was as a leader. He canceled elections. He was an anti-democratic leader. That doesn't mean that we can kidnap a head of state and engage in acts of war just because the nation is below the equator. And
so this is what people are punking AOC for today, is that she had, a slight mental misstep, claims that Venezuela is beneath the equator. And it turns out if you Google that, which I don't know that anybody knows this, but yeah, apparently Venezuela is slightly above the equator. So I see these tweets all over the timelines, people making fun of AOC, oh, she's so dumb. I don't know that anybody really knew that anyways. The larger point, though, that I'd like to make is it doesn't matter. I mean, I'd like to heap on the hating on AOC train, but certain things are just not persuasive and unimportant. And this is not something that would come back to bite her, hurt her in any way, shape, or form. Here's the biggest thing is AOC is very charismatic. She's also very attractive, which matters when it comes to persuasion. All right. If I had to call it today, I would say that this right here, what you're looking at, is our next president in 2028, barring any unforeseen circumstances. And those unforeseen circumstances are going to need to be a little something more substantial than, misspeaking about whether a country's a couple hundred miles north or south of the equator. It doesn't really matter. I know everybody on the conservative side is super hot on J.D. Vance right now. Let me tell you something. J.D. Vance ain't going to cut it against AOC. I'm not talking about policies here. I'm not talking about, well, do her policies make his policies. I'm talking about just pure charisma versus charisma. Because my view of the world is that people don't really elect presidents based on policies. They elect presidents based on charisma, off of vibes, okay? There's obviously a lot of Democrats and a lot of liberal women in this country. AOC is really good at speaking to them and speaking in an empathetic way, even here, where she's saying, just because Maduro does bad things, it doesn't give us the right to go into a southern hemisphere country, whether or not she was right about it, and to abduct their president, right? That's a very empathetic sort of, you would maybe classify that as like a womanly response, right? Avoiding violence, sort of doing the right thing. Whereas a guy would say, might makes right. We were able to go in and grab him specifically because we were able to go in and grab him, right? So in any case, she's going to be very difficult to beat. J.D. Vance, to me, he's a good guy. He speaks fairly well, but he's just not nearly as persuasive as AOC is. He's persuasive, he's not as charismatic, and that's kind of the problem. I don't see that same charisma with J.D. Vance as I see with Trump. Trump could have taken her on. But even Trump would have had a very difficult time with AOC. It would have been like 50-50, because she's very, very tough to compete against. Just giving you a heads up. So there's no broken hearts if they can't figure out a better option before 2028. We'll see. Or the other thing is if she has some serious missteps, where they're able to paint her as a communist, right? But my feeling is that AOC, knowing that she's running for president now, you're going to see her slowly move more and more towards the center. And she's going to slowly kind of divert towards the average views on a lot of different issues while maintaining that kind of liberal edge. But, I mean, she's smart enough to realize that she needs to strike a better balance in order to win the presidency. So I think you'll see her doing that. This was another thing from today. I guess there was a, one of the big criticisms, I think people were saying this kind of jokingly, maybe some were serious, was that if Mamdani won the New York mayor's race, you were going to hear Islamic prayer calls throughout New York City. Well, that actually happened today, apparently. This is Amy Mack, I guess, on Twitter. I think she was there in person, and she's got a very sensationalist. Zohran Mamdani's Sharia Dawn is here, she says. Let me just play it for you.
Here is Atlantic. We are hearing Azan. Come here.
I think we already got Texas stuff.
Yeah.
So, I guess the whole thing with this is basically you have Mamdani, he's a Muslim. I think one of his main things when he ran for mayor of New York was he argues for, if I understand this correctly, Muslims being able to broadcast prayer calls in a more expanded ability, because he's saying it's a protection of their religious freedom, right? Like they should be, and if you think about it, you do hear church bells, right? You would hear church bells in certain cities, and it's not looked at as something that's super crazy or out of the ordinary. So I looked this up on Grok a little bit. It was saying under Mayor Mamdani's January 2026 policy, daily broadcasts expanded from prior limits set in 2023, balancing First Amendment protections for religious practice against NYC's noise ordinances that cap amplified sounds at 45 decibels after 10 p.m., religious practice, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, I agree with the religious freedom thing. The one thing I would suggest is, at what point does your religious freedom become a religious ramming it down everyone else's throats? Or a religious annoyance, right? Because this isn't just, practicing your religion on your own. This is literally a prayer call going out of the city. Now, I mentioned before, you have church bells, right? But church bells are a little bit... Look, if the Muslims want a bell, I'll give them a bell. The bell sounds kind of nice. It's not intrusive. I think if you were hearing Christian chants over a loudspeaker, it'd be sort of the same thing, right? People can deal with a couple church bells for a second. I don't know about the chants. The actual words. It seems like it's a little bit enforcing your beliefs on other people. Now, I don't believe that this is a widespread thing in New York City. I think this is an isolated incident, and I don't know even if this person that was blasting this stuff was outside of the regular ordinances. My understanding is that Mamdani has slightly expanded that, but I don't know that this is a regular occurrence that you'll see. I would just say I have no problem with Muslim people wanting to practice. I do think the chants over the loudspeakers are a little bit much, though. Tone it back. Tone it back. Let's do some jokes again. Oh, actually, maybe we can do a few jokes. Get rid of that. Let's do... What do we need? This gone. Okay, perfect. Well, New York City had its safest January on record, with murders down 60% and shootings down 20%. Yeah. Yeah, apparently that's because all the murderers froze to death. Yeah. Yeah, it's the Mamdani policies. They're, You know, the Mamdani giveth and the Mamdani taketh away. You got to balance the good with the bad. Well, today is George Washington's birthday, the day we celebrate a dead president, or as Democrats call it, the 2020 election. He was the first dead president to serve his 4-year term, prehumously. I just made that word up. Well, AOC claimed today that Venezuela was below the equator. Yeah, unfortunate gaffe. And to be fair, Democrats are still confused about anything below the belt. Yeah. God damn it. To be fair, Democrats are still confused about anything below the belt. Stuck it. Yeah, she said Venezuela identifies as Southern, so. Cool. Let's go. What else we got? We're going to pull up some news. News again. More news. Let's do this. All right, sweet. Does anyone feel like Twitter is becoming completely unreadable? I know they're saying that with AI, it's eventually going to be impossible to tell like what's real from what's false, which is true. That's already happening. I hate that. I hate that like I used to love like crazy like animal videos so much. Like, oh, there's a crazy animal happening or just anything crazy. What gets me is like, I thought that the AI videos would be more like just wild stuff that, you know, maybe it looked real, but you could tell like there's no way that happened. But people like immediately started making with it like what looked like very real, like animals doing cool stuff videos or like wildlife videos that like seem like they actually could happen. Or it's like stuff from the real world that just seems kind of incredible, but like you'd buy it and it's AI. And so every time I see a video now, I have to pause and be like, wait, that can't be real. And then I have to like look at it and see if the AI says it's real or not. We're relying on an AI to tell us whether the AI is real or not, which doesn't seem like the best scenario. But there's also something happening where like now it's just, I feel like most of the posts, it's two things that are killing X. It's like people trying to get engagement. That's probably the main thing that's killing it, is people trying to get engagement for money. I guess they're monetized accounts, you know. But I see a lot of people just posting like weird, vague posting stuff where they're like, or like calls to watch this video because it's going to be crazy. Like just a bunch of clickbaity stuff that doesn't really have any real news in it. It's underwhelming. And it's just there to get eyes to stick on that tweet for a second, right? And I see other people doing this like, there's this guy Dinesh D'Souza, I guess his name is. Let me pull up his account here. This is like one of the more annoying things that I've found recently. So I don't know exactly what's going on here, but I think what this guy has going on is like, it's almost like he might have an AI agent that is just posting stuff to his account all day. Because his account just seems like an AI slop news farm. And this is, I remember, this used to be a real guy who would talk and stuff. But now you see new break in the Guthrie case as police make discovery. It's just basically like a weird news article from Conservative Brief. So maybe it's pulling stuff. What else we got? FBI announces forensic breakthrough. This mistake may get the suspect caught. But then when you go to click on them, they're not like, it's news from like a day ago that he's posting like an hour ago. It doesn't really like add anything new to the discussion. The people in the comments too, like if you go to the comments section here, I lost interest in the story after day 3. Grok confirmed this post, like people are challenging him. There has been nothing new here. Have you been hacked? So like people realizing that there's just like something kind of off, right? Like it's not like a real person posting. It's like just AI slop. Every one of your tweets is now clickbait. I'm sorry, but I have to unfollow. I mean, the comments are just all over the place, right? But I see a lot of accounts like this now. And the really frustrating thing, I mean, the guy has obviously 172,000 posts. He basically is a bot now. The really annoying thing is these guys probably make a ton of money from this crap. And that's probably why he's doing it. He's trying to turn himself into a news aggregator site almost. But it's just a bummer because, again, most of my timeline is this kind of trash. So it is quickly becoming... I mean, I'm just going to my timeline here. Ex-boyfriend, something about a roof inspection. But then there's a grok note that it's a fake story anyways. Something. Okay. I mean, I don't know. Just doesn't seem like the best algorithm I've ever seen for X. Let's see if I have this. This was, I guess there's some drama over, if you guys haven't heard about this. So Scott Adams, who was the inspiration for this little show I'm doing here, he obviously hosted his own live stream show day in, day out for, I think, about a decade. He recently passed away from cancer. And somebody started an AI coffee with Scott Adams, where they basically have carried on his live stream show every single day. If you haven't seen it, it's really eerie. So this is one of the AI episodes here.
The tech's been a little glitchy this morning, but hey, we're rolling. Okay.
Out of the gate, having watched this show a lot, that sounds, except for the small like pauses, that sounds almost exactly like him. It is odd.
If you are finding this take on the world useful, go ahead and click subscribe or follow. It keeps the algorithm happy and you in the loop. Seem to make the printer work better too. You've got a great show bot at about 2 to 3 cups a day.
Just bizarre, right? But they're literally doing his shows with like real news and everything, which is kind of cool. I guess but here's the thing is his family has come out and the surviving family does not want this to happen, the AI show. Here's Jason Calacanis from, what is that, the All In podcast, I think he comments on it. He says, if the family doesn't want this and they control his estate, I actually think the folks doing it should shut it down. And the family should sue if they want to. He says, in parentheses, I personally think Scott would love it, but I know he flip-flopped on this decision because of his family. And they're going to discuss this, I guess, on the show. But here's the thing, is having watched Scott Adams, and Jason refers to this too, this guy, Scott, spent a lot of time saying that he looked forward to having his likeness uploaded to AI. He wanted all of his thoughts essentially pulled and put into an AI. He said for years, especially like the last 2 years that he was podcasting, he would tell people openly, you're welcome to use my likeness in any AI applications, any of my voice. I grant everyone on the internet permission to do this, basically. I guess there was some type of flip-flopping towards the very end of his life where his family may have been the ones to control the estate. And so I don't know what Scott specifically said, but just my take on it is, given how much Scott granted permission for everybody to use his likeness in AI, it's hard to see pulling that back now, because it is a very public wish of his, right? I don't watch these, despite being a huge Scott Adams fan, because even though they're interesting, I don't like seeing fake stuff from a dead person that I really respected when they were alive. As good of a simulacra as this is, it's not really that person, right? You're sort of reanimating the dead, but the soul isn't with them, right? It's just a simulacra, right? Something that would look like them, smell like them, maybe have the same taste, but it's different. And to me, it's hollow because it's not real. So even if it's kind of cool, even if it gives you good memories, I'm not a fan of the AI reanimating the dead or animating old family photos and stuff like that. It's just too creepy to me. It is, to me, the closest thing we have to ghosts in the real world. And it feels off. So I don't personally watch it, but it is eerily similar. It's not perfect, but it's eerily similar to what his show would be. Again, slower news day, so we'll probably wrap it up pretty quick here. I mean, this was like Nicole Arbor. I don't even really want to get into this, but this was the lady. I think she got famous for doing like a YouTube video making fun of fat people a long, long time ago. And since then, her entire claim to fame seems to have been sleeping with...
Tomorrow in San Diego, there will be rainy weather with a high of 64 degrees Fahrenheit and a low of 54 degrees.
Bitch, please!
Also, there's a high surf advisory in effect until Friday, February 20th, 10 p.m.
I got a whole ass show right now. Got to deal with these AI bitches popping up out of nowhere, just running their mouth. That's San Diego is currently under storm weather, which San Diego is kind of cool because it's always so nice that it is a little bit fun when we have a little bit of rain. It's like, oh, we get some weather. But the bad part is like, I don't like driving in the rain in San Diego or in California in general. Not because I'm afraid of the rain, but because I'm afraid of the other drivers. It really is one of those towns when a little bit of a sprinkle and people start swerving. You see cars on the side of the road that have hydroplaned. Like it turns into a small Armageddon every time there's a little storm. So apparently there's a big storm this week coming through California. Supposedly a bunch of snow in Tahoe. It's raining a bit in San Diego, which is kind of nice at the moment. In any case, this girl, Nicole Arbor, since that time, she's basically made a career out of dating famous men and accusing them of impropriety in one shape or another. So I think she was dating like one of the guys who had Black Rifle Coffee, and she was accusing him of some type of Me Too thing. The stories are similar where the people are always coming after her and like trying to she's a victim in the story. She's very vague about what exactly happened, but she claims she's a victim of the man, and then that they're trying to silence her, right? So it's always sort of the same story. Black Rifle Coffee guys. There was some country singer, I think Ryan Upchurch is maybe his name, she did the same thing with. Now she brings up Jelly Roll's name. This guy Jelly Roll. That's friggin' Jelly Roll, who everyone loves right now. And she's saying like he sent her a hush money deal, and apparently there's some past between these two, which I don't know about. Let me see. I wanted to find a picture of Nicole Arbor's vagina. I don't know. Let's see if we can find one here. Yeah, there it is right there. It's a live photo of her vagina. You step into it, only bad things can happen. So, I don't know. Somebody made the comment on here that the common denominator is always her. I don't know what her deal is, if these are true or if she's just crazy or what's going on. But, like, literally every couple of years she pops out of the woodwork with one of these. So, it's just interesting. Anyways, slow news day. I am returning to the show. I'm going to be doing, I think this show I'll live stream. This show is an ongoing experiment, okay? So I'm experimenting with times, formats, etc., etc. Right now, I think I'll try to do live streaming at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Thursday at least, maybe Monday through Friday. We'll try it out. The show was set to run about 6 months before it maybe got good. I think we're at about like the 4-month mark-ish right now. So it's still a little bit of time before it theoretically would even get good. So we'll have to see how that goes. But that's it for tonight. It's been cool hanging with you, and I will see you guys tomorrow.